I just want to talk a little bit about why do women put up with abuse in the church? Just a few things percolating in my mind about that. One, I've heard women say, "Oh, men are dogs." Now, I don't prescribe to that. I never did. Here's why. Because I know that I make a decision. Whoever I'm with, I made a decision to be with that person. So if that person turned out to be whatever he was, I made the decision to be there, and I made the decision to stay if I did. So I'm not one of those people. I'm not pointing and saying, "Oh, it's all the men are doing this." No, I'm not doing that. I'm not pointing and saying, "Oh, it's the women in the church are doing this." I'm not saying that at all. In anything I've said so far, that's not what I'm saying, because there is some issues with the women in the church and the choices that they make. Women really have to understand that they are making choices. We make choices. Whatever situation, if we're adults, right, we make choices. Okay, we make choices to sleep with the pastor. We make choices to go after men in leadership. We make choices not to say anything if we see anything wrong in the church. We made choices. We decided that this is what we were going to do. So if the men are abusing women in the church, which historically that went on and goes on, but what are the women doing, though? We always hear about, oh, this pastor and that pastor and the other pastor in this and that church, he molested this one and he molested that one. All these stories that I talked about in another talk, and I said that this sexual abuse in the church is like a pandemic. It's an epidemic. Hello, what are the women doing, though? In a lot of these articles, you're not hearing about the adult women. What are the adult women doing in the church? Why all this goes on? Why do we have so much sexual abuse in church? Why do we have people stealing, pastors stealing money? Why do we have pastors who are preventing people from having a funeral because they didn't bring in their tithes, enough tithes money? Why? What are the women doing? That's what I want to know. What are the women doing? Because obviously they're there and they're making certain choices when these things are going on. All right? They make the choice. Some of them, when they find out about this pastor, who may be their husband, they make the choice to stay with the man. Okay? And I'm sure some of them knew that this pastor was doing dirt, but they kept quiet. They made a choice to keep their mouths closed for whatever reason. There's something I've seen in the church, the love that women have for men in leadership and for the pastor. Okay? The pastor is there, and he is a star to the women. He is up there on the pulpit. He's got on a designer suit. His shoes are shining, and he's performing for the fans. And the woman loved that. There they are with their eyes glued to the man, right? He's the star. He's like an artist. He's an entertainer. Who doesn't want to be around the stars of the show so that we can say, oh, well, I know him. He knows me. I run with him. I'm in the inner circle in the church. I'm known by the pastor. Some women go to church to marry the pastor. They don't care if he has a wife. What's that got to do with anything? I'm next. God told me that this was the man for me. Yeah, God told me. You see? So all throughout, I always wonder, well, where are the women? The women who you would think, well, okay, she's a mother, she has children, so doesn't she have this nurturing thing inside of her that she's going to look out for the children in the church? Seriously, what are the church mothers doing? The ones with the big hats? What are the prophetesses doing? What are the female pastors doing? What are they doing when all the dirt is going on in the church? That's what I really want to know. So what is the point of the woman being a pastor and then she gets up there on the pulpit and whatever she's doing, she does not address women's issues or anything having to do with children? What's the point? What's the point? I'm not even discussing whether or not a woman should be a pastor. As far as I'm concerned, that's a moot point, irrelevant, doesn't apply because the inside of the cup is dirty. And we're trying to clean around the cup. There's so much dirt going on. But some people are busy trying to clean around the cup and ignore the dirt inside. I don't want to even talk about whether a woman should be a pastor or not. Relevant. So now, but what are these female pastors doing in these churches as all the dirt is going on and all the stories are coming out, like the stories about Eddie Long came out and he was doing this, that, and the other to these boys. What was his wife doing? She didn't know nothing? She didn't sense anything. She wasn't praying. Because a lot of times you're with a man and you see signs. A lot of women ignore those signs for various reasons. I think it's as far as in a church, listen, if you out your husband, your pastor, oh, you're going to come down. You're not going to be the first lady. You're not going to have a position. So sometimes the position comes before everything else. And it reminds me of when, and this happens a lot, when a child tells their mother that the father is molesting them or the uncle is molesting them sexually or someone is molesting them, the mother has a tendency to say the child is lying. I don't know if anybody knows about that. It's prevalent. So a lot of times when it comes to issues with men and say the man is cheating with another woman, what the women do is blame the other woman. Suddenly she is the target, the other woman. And my question is, did the other woman marry you? Who is she that you would go to her? As if the man is exonerated and he didn't do nothing. It's this other woman. She did it. She and her wiles, she came to my husband, she enticed him. It's her fault. Right, honey? Women make a lot of bad choices. When it comes to abuse, women make a lot of bad choices and forget or can't remember, can't seem to tap into the fact, this is the man I chose, and this is the man I said yes to, and this is the man I stayed with. So as far as abuse in the church, whatever it is, whatever's going on that's incorrect or dirty and down low and shouldn't happen, whether it's stealing, whether it's molestation, whether it's refusing to bury somebody because they didn't tithe enough money, whether it's some other criminal act, whether somebody's running drugs in the church, whatever it is, we notice we never hear about the woman in leadership. What's she doing? What is she doing? I would like to know what the women are doing in the church exactly. They seem to be like the shadowy figures, and they never seem to be around. They're like a vapor, having no voice, having no power to prevent any of this stuff that goes on in the churches. And I would just like to know what they do exactly. As I remember when I first came into the church, into the faith, I was busy listening to Gloria Copeland and Taffy Dollar and Joyce Myers. And the particular thing that I got frustrated about, I was like, every time I listen to these women, they're not really involved with the family. They're not really telling me too much about children. Look, I got issues going on in my home here, having to do with family, children, and issues like that. Women's issues. So if the general thing in the church is that the women don't attend to these issues like women and children or whatever's going on with them, then they don't care about that. That's the only conclusion I can come to. They made a choice to run after just preaching, and there's nothing wrong with preaching. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is I'm seeing a lot of gaps and holes and open doors that the women aren't shutting, the women aren't seeing, and the women aren't paying attention to. And if if a woman is being abused in any way in a church, I think we need to admit she made the choice to receive that and to keep receiving it. I'm not one of those people who believes, right, that, the men, they're so big and powerful. They're overpowering the women. They're using their authority against them. They're using their position against them, and they're fooling them, taking advantage of the women. I don't believe it. Because I'm an adult. Right? The women in the church who are of age, right? They are adults. If you're going to tell me about children, all right, I can get into that and I can listen to that type of discussion about authority taking advantage. Authority is not taking advantage of grown women. If a woman is sleeping with the pastor or having a relationship with the pastor, she made a decision to do it. And she made a decision to keep on doing it. And when she stopped, she made the decision to stop. I don't care what it is. I don't care what he's doing. Because a lot of these pastors are running game on on like half the church. And the women are listening to the game because they want the game, and they think that they might win the game. They think they might win the pastor. Oh, but let a good man come in, and he doesn't have a position. He's not working his way up. He doesn't have plans to get into leadership. He's just coming in there, and he's a church member, and a good one. Good man. Oh, but no. He's not going anywhere. He's not impressive. I'm not interested in him. I'm looking over here at the pastor, his henchmen, his cronies, his buddies, and the clique, and I'm trying to get into the inner circle. Never mind about this good man over here. Women make choices. And I know most of us know that women love to go after the shining man in leadership, up there performing, preaching, giving a message. We're looking at him now. Oh, let's all rally around him. Maybe one of us can get him. Who knows? Yeah, but he's married. Then you have the churches. It's a whole bunch of women in the church. Okay, there's a lot of churches like that. A whole bunch of women, more women than men. And I've really only seen a mixed bag in like an apostolic church or a holiness church. They seem to have a more even balance of men or women for whatever that's worth. Okay, but you have these churches that there's a lot of women in churches generally and historically. They're in those churches. They're supporting those churches. They're giving money to those churches. Yet they don't have a voice. And if they don't have a voice, if a woman doesn't have a voice in a church, that's her choice. She made a choice to be quiet. She made a choice not to have a voice. And I truly believe that. Because I know when someone really wants something, I don't care if it's a male or a female, when they really, really want to reach and get something for themselves, they pick themselves right up and get it. So I don't subscribe to it's all the men's fault. The men are abusing the women. Okay, and it's historically it's been done. When I don't tune into that when I'm speaking to adults. When I'm dealing with adults, I don't go into that. Because we're all free to make the right decision, whatever the case may be. So women get abused in church because they allow it. Okay? If I get abused, I allowed it to happen and to continue.